Welcome to Digest Discussions, where every episode brings the pages of knowledge to life. Dive deep with us into the heart of academic excellence, where the latest blog posts from Doctoral Digest aren't just read, they're explored, questioned, and expanded. In this podcast, we peel back the layers of complex topics, offering doctoral candidates and scholarly enthusiasts a seat at our roundtable of innovation, where we guide new doctoral students and dissertation warriors through the often confusing world of academics.
Discussion.
Today, we're diving into something that I think every doctoral student has experienced at least once in their journey. That moment when you're sitting at your desk, surrounded by printed articles, sticky notes everywhere, and you realize you have absolutely no idea where you saved that one crucial citation that perfectly supports your argument.
Oh, absolutely. And it's usually the one citation you need at 2 a.m. when you're trying to finish a chapter, right? That's exactly why this piece on reference management systems really caught my attention. The author starts with that perfect scenario. Papers scattered everywhere, citation lists driving you mad. It's like they've been watching us work.
What I found particularly striking is how they frame reference management systems as a digital librarian. That metaphor really works because it captures both the organizational aspect and the service element. These systems aren't just storage containers, they're actively helping you manage your intellectual assets. And honestly, when you're dealing with hundreds of sources across multiple projects, you need that level of sophisticated organization.
Exactly, and that evolution they mention is fascinating. I remember when citation management meant keeping index cards in a shoebox. Literally. Now we have these integrated systems that can pull citations directly from databases, sync across devices, and even suggest related articles. The technological leap has been enormous, but I think what's more important is how it's changed the way we think about research itself.
That's a great point. The article breaks down those core capabilities: citation organization, word processor integration, and internet searching. But I think there's something deeper happening here. When you can seamlessly move from finding a source to organizing it to citing it in your document, you're not just saving time. You're maintaining your flow state as a researcher. You're not constantly switching between different cognitive tasks.
Yes, and speaking of flow state, can we talk about the categorization strategies they outline? I've seen so many doctoral students struggle with this. They'll dump everything into one massive folder and then spend hours hunting for specific sources. The advice about using clear categories and subcategories seems basic, but it's foundational.
I'm particularly interested in their discussion of gray literature. For those who might not be familiar, gray literature includes things like government reports, policy papers, white papers, essentially research materials that exist outside traditional academic publishing channels. The article points out that this literature requires careful evaluation since it doesn't go through the same peer review process, but it can provide cutting-edge insights that won't appear in journals for months or years.
That's crucial for doctoral students, especially those working in rapidly evolving fields or policy-relevant areas. I've worked with students studying climate change adaptation, for instance, where the most current data comes from government agencies and NGO reports, not peer-reviewed articles. But the challenge is maintaining scholarly rigor while incorporating these sources.
Which brings us to something the article emphasizes heavily: the importance of consistent tagging systems. I think this is where a lot of people stumble. They start with good intentions, creating descriptive tags, but then they get busy and start using shortcuts or slightly different terminology. Before you know it, you have climate change, global warming, and GW, all referring to essentially the same concept.
Oh, the tag chaos is real. And it gets worse when you're collaborating with others. The article does a nice job highlighting those collaborative features, but I think they could have emphasised more strongly how critical it is to establish tagging conventions early in a project. When you're working with a research team, those shared libraries and real-time editing features are game changers, but only if everyone is speaking the same organisational language.
Absolutely, and the version control aspect they mention is huge. I've seen collaborative projects derailed because team members were working with different versions of the same bibliography. When you have true version control, you can track who added what sources, when changes were made, and why. It transforms what used to be a chaotic process into something that's actually manageable.
Let's dig into those specific tools they mention: Zotero, Mendeley, EndNote, RefWorks, and Paperpile. Each has its own personality, if you will. Zotero being open source appeals to researchers who want complete control over their data and don't want to worry about subscription costs. But Mendeley's social networking features can actually help with discovery. Seeing what others in your field are reading can surface sources you might have missed.
EndNote has that institutional credibility. It's been around forever and many universities have site licenses. But for someone just starting out, the learning curve can be steep. RefWorks being web-based is convenient, especially if you're working across multiple devices or locations. And PaperPile's integration with Google Workspace is brilliant if you're already living in that ecosystem.
What strikes me about the tool selection process is that it's not just about features, it's about workflow compatibility. The best reference management system is the one you'll actually use consistently. If you're a Google Docs person, fighting with a tool that doesn't play nicely with Google Workspace is going to create friction in your daily work.
That workflow integration point is so important. The article mentions browser plugins, and I can't overstate how valuable these are. Being able to capture a citation with one click while you're reading online, knowing it's automatically formatted and filed in the right place, that removes so much friction from the research process.
And let's be honest about something the article touches on, but could have explored more deeply, the psychological aspect of organisation. When your references are chaotic, it creates this low-level anxiety. You're never quite sure if you're missing something important, or if you'll be able to find what you need when you need it. A good reference management system isn't just about efficiency, it's about peace of mind.
That's such an insightful observation. There's definitely a cognitive load reduction that happens when you trust your system. Instead of keeping all these mental notes about where things might be stored, you can focus your cognitive resources on analysis and synthesis, the actual intellectual work of research.
The article concludes by encouraging readers to explore their options and share their experiences, which I think is wise. These tools are very much a personal choice, and what works brilliantly for one researcher might be frustrating for another. But the key message, that effective reference management can transform your research experience, is absolutely true.
One thing I'd add is that it's never too late to start. I've worked with advanced doctoral students who were still managing citations manually, and they were amazed at how much time and stress they could have saved by implementing a system earlier. But even if you're deep into your dissertation, the investment in learning a reference management system pays dividends.
And for those listening who might be feeling overwhelmed by the options, my advice is to start simple. Pick one system, maybe based on what your institution supports or what your advisor uses, and begin with the basic features. You don't need to master every advanced function immediately. Just getting your sources organised and being able to generate citations automatically will make a huge difference.
The collaborative features can come later, as can the sophisticated tagging schemes. The important thing is to begin building that digital library, that organized repository of your intellectual work. Because ultimately, that's what a reference management system really is. It's a reflection of your scholarly journey, a curated collection of the ideas and evidence that inform your thinking.
Thanks for joining us for this digest discussion. We're the Academic Renegade crew, reminding you that you are not alone in your doctoral journey. Join us for every episode as we break down the Doctoral Digest's most compelling content, bringing expert commentary, critical analysis, and a touch of scholarly camaraderie right to your ears. This isn't just another academic podcast. It's a community and idea incubator, and your weekly dose of scholarly innovation all rolled into one.
Tune into digest discussions and transform the way you engage with academic literature. Let's start the conversation today.